The problem with SpaceX is, what is the business? Since the IPO, the SpaceX business has completely switched from being a rocket business to an AI infrastructure business. And this is not good. This is not good. This is why we don't like the SpaceX IPO. It was a mistake. It's not the right way to go. There's two fundamental problems here. Number one, we have a business which is phenomenal, actually. I mean, the best business probably ever created. And that is the rocket business and the Starlink business attached to it, which is what SpaceX actually should be. And then there is a new business, and let's call this AI infrastructure. Now, there's nothing wrong with AI infrastructure per se. AI infrastructure encompasses energy, data centers, chips, all kinds of problems that need to be solved around the training and inference of AI. There's tons of companies out there who do that. By the way, on top of that, of course, there's also the application, or if we want to use the NVIDIA layer cake, we have energy, then we have chips, then we have the infrastructure companies like the data center that puts it all together, buys the real estate and all that. And then we have the model companies and the application companies. So that is the AI business that now at SpaceX is by far the largest piece of investment and capex and loss. So what we have here is literally the tail wagging the dog, if you will, because when people hear SpaceX, when I see SpaceX enthusiasts, whether it's influencers on YouTube or just normal people going down to Brownsville and taking pictures of this amazing thing that is building down there, which is Starbase, nobody thinks of model, AI, token, token per watt, or how many, who's higher on the leaderboard for this and that inference, and how does SpaceX AI compete with Neo Cloud? How do they compete with labs? How do Chinese labs influence? Nobody thinks about these things. What people associate SpaceX with is rockets. It's difficult science problems, difficult technology problems around propulsion, around heat shield, orbital launches. I mean, whatever you associate SpaceX with, I can guarantee you, if I take 100 people, 99, or maybe pretty much everybody, maybe except a few people in the management and a lot of the snake oilers on Wall Street, they will give you a different story. Most other people will see SpaceX as a rocket company. And that's not what it is. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the actual numbers, and today was the first earnings release, and this is why we're doing this episode, it's pretty obvious, right? You have, let's say, give or take 4 billion in EBITDA, a combination of launch and Starlink. So 4 billion, that's a good business. And then you have, negative 4 or 5 billion, I don't know the exact number, in the AI business. But what's more striking is, of course, the capex, 30 billion. So we're going towards maybe 60 billion this year if we annualize it. So it's massively more. So no matter how good this launch, and again, just for simplicity, I'm going to keep launch and Starlink as one, because Starlink, the bulk of launches is for Starlink. So let's just keep this as one business. And that is, as great a business as it is, it's being overwhelmed by the investment cycle that is necessary for the AI business. So what we suggest, here's the problem that we see. We see two fundamental problems. One is you can't invest in this because I don't want to necessarily, I mean, I would like to, if I want to invest in an AI infrastructure company, I have a lot of options. SpaceX is one of them, but there's others. And if I want to invest in a rocket space company, I want to invest in SpaceX. And right now I can't do neither. Because if I want to invest in AI infrastructure, it's probably better companies. And if I want to invest in space, what I'm really buying with SpaceX is AI infrastructure. So it's like I'm doomed if I do, and I'm doomed if I don't. And even more importantly, I think this is going to have bad repercussions on talent and morale. If you just look, I mean, if Elon Musk has to allocate meetings now He's going to allocate the meetings probably according to the importance, and the importance is reflected in the numbers. If I spend 30 billion on something versus 5 billion, I'm going to have to pay more attention to the 30 billion. So the people with solutions for Starship and all that, they will be actually not as important as the people who have solutions for how to increase tokens per watt or how to decrease dollar per token or things like that. Now, look, this might change. I see the pushback, for example, I'm sure from Moscow will be, listen, just be patient. We're going to space AI. So all this AI actually will converge in, it will actually become an AI infrastructure company, and the launch business is going to be crucial, because with Starship, we're going to, decrease the cost per kilo by, let's say, 100x. And therefore, having space AI, having abundant energy, will solve a lot of problems that we are dealing with right now in the AI space. This is the pushback. And I say, yeah, fine, but why do we have to put it in one company and do an IPO? Why couldn't we leave space and Starlink as a space company and have a separate company like we have the Boring Company and Neuralink, an AI infrastructure company that encompasses Grok and XAI and all the infrastructure associated with it? Why do we have to combine it? This is our major pushback. And then, you know what, later on, you can still merge these things. Now, here's the case for if you really want to put everything together and make the case for what Elon Musk is trying to do with SpaceX, AI, and Tesla, it is to build actually a fully integrated, vertically integrated AI company driven by, if we start on top with the application, by real world AI, so robots on wheels and legs. And these robots will learn from experience. That means there will be exponential amount of data that needs to be processed. Therefore, we need much more powerful models that can be powered only by something like space AI data centers. So in the long run, this is the vision, and therefore this combination makes sense. I agree with that. I'm actually on board with that. I just don't think that it's the time right now to mix these together, and it's going to make SpaceX as a stock very difficult to invest. So as a conclusion, and we are Tesla investors, we're not SpaceX investors, what we think is that, first, we're not opposed to a merger. We also just published our half-year shareholder letter. You can read that there. We are actually pro-merger SpaceX and Tesla, but not at current valuations. The current valuations are out of whack. Tesla is way undervalued and SpaceX is extremely overvalued. So it's not healthy for us, for shareholders, for employees. The people who are pushing FSD and robotaxi don't see the same kind of urgency like the people, for example, who are competing with Chinese open source models on AI. But they should, because the survival, or maybe not the survival, but the valuation of Tesla and the value of the company and the raison d'etre for the whole combination of Tesla SpaceX hinges on FSD, robotaxi, and Optimus. And therefore, and in order to succeed, we need a successful robotaxi business. So this is like a Model 3 sleeping on the factory floor type urgency. But currently, with all the mix-up and all the tra-ra around space and SpaceX and AI and these things get sort of pushed under the rug, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy for morale. It's not healthy for investors. It leads to mispricing, to unnecessary volatility, and most importantly, it lacks the urgency that actually is needed to go and push robotaxi into the market, to make it a success, to fight the regulators, the doomsayers, the merchants of doubt that are trying to stop this technology because it is a threat to the legacy auto industry. So to summarize, we think that SpaceX is a fantastic company, that the SpaceX AI merger was a very big mistake, and the IPO even a much bigger mistake. The valuation of space and Starlink together, let's say if you give it 10 billion EBITDA, maybe you can get to $500 million. So 50 times EBITDA, I think, is a pretty decent price for a fast-growing business. So we're still and the other part, the AI business, you can value that as much as you want. I don't know what the value of that is, but it should be separate. It should be separate, the same way, and then we can benchmark it against Anthropic and OpenAI and all these companies and the neoclouds, but not together. because again, the space and Starlink business is a very, very high quality, high growth, very interesting business, attracts very interesting types of investors and very interesting types of talent that now are being diluted with the regular AI talent that is very different, has different metrics, different cadence. There's just all kind, different types of hirings. You're now being paid with a stock as a propulsion engineer at SpaceX or a heat shield engineer at SpaceX. You're being paid by a stock that really is driven by token per watt, for example, or by winning in a leaderboard on a special benchmark, or solving the coding problem, or competing with Claude Code on coding, agentic coding. That has nothing to do with the space business, and that's again, we're not merged yet, but if we were merged with Tesla, it would be even worse. And the people who are building the cars and the energy and the solar and the FSD and the semi, they will be basically paid by these token type people instead of being paid for what they do. So again, there's a misalignment of the performance of the stock and the underlying driver of the business, and a lot of other employees that are incredibly important for the business but are not being properly accounted for in this current structure. Thank you.